Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. So today, I'm at Marin Tennis Club. I'm going to surprise the guys with Fed specs, Nadal specs, and introducing Joker spec rackets. Ha ha ha. Stay tuned. All right, guys. So I'm going to surprise Coach Jerod and Coach Chris with my spec'd out Federer racket, my spec'd out Nadal racket. I also brought the Origin too, and introducing a spec'd out Novak racket that my man Dan spec'd out. I know we don't have the 95, but you know, we spec'd out a Speed Pro. So let's see what they think. Hey guys, we warmed up.
What's up?
We warmed up.
Getting there.
All right. I got surprises in the bag here.
You're always surprising us, Harry.
Rackets.
Always surprising us.
I got a bag full of surprises. Coach Jerod, Coach Redbeard here. All right. Just got off the court. They're just warming up with their own rackets. I just appeared. What if I told you guys I've recreated Fed's racket and it's supposed to feel just like it? Same weight, same balance, swing weight across the board. I've actually done this a couple years ago, and everybody I've handed what I call these creations to have absolutely loved it. And I brought them here for you guys to try today.
Wow.
So here's the black one.
Perfect.
And here is the original red one.
The OG red RF autograph.
And they're his
Wow.
specs. We even tried to sign his name on that one, just like the thing, just like the one in.
Did you make that? Did you replicate that?
Well,
That's
yeah,
pretty good.
My man Dan tried to do it. He's like, I think I can sign Fed's name too. I was like, I don't think so, man. You're a little shaky there.
Stop.
So go ahead and warm up and try to whack them around. I want to know what you guys think now. All right, so we just got off the court. Coach Jerod, Coach Redbeard here, trying out the Feds. So this is version 11, version 13. Guys, any difference? Which one did you prefer? They're supposed to be the same specs. Fed's specs. Coach Redbeard, go first.
I tried out the black one actually first. A little bit more control.
I got you.
A little bit less trampoliny. Overall, great feel. Like if you just let your arm flow through the stroke and just, try not to overhit, but just try and hit with purpose. Beautiful racket, goes right through the ball and just basically creams it. Goes right through it and pounds it through the court. If you try to overswing, you're probably going to hit the fence a couple of times or just the frame or whatever else. It's definitely a pro's smooth racket.
And then, was there a huge difference between? I mean, this was more freshly strung by maybe a week. This one trampolined, a little less control. Still felt really good because I had been trying to get used to that one first. So this one still felt good because it was kind of an extension of that one. A little bit more power here. But otherwise, weight-wise, everything else pretty much felt the same. Okay. Now, how did it feel to feel what maybe Fed feels?
I mean, in a way, the racket kind of, is an extension of the man. But you can see why he can just swing, freely through the ball and have so much power and so much effectiveness with his shots. He doesn't really have to do a lot. He can just dance through it and swing through it.
Okay. So extension of your body, extension of Fed. So now you're connected to Fed now.
Exactly. I agree.
Coach Jerod, we'll start with the black one. Go for that.
So yeah, I think overall the playtest was pretty fun. Back in the day, I used the, I think it was before, no, they had a rubber finish on the black one when
Correct.
the autograph came out. So I did use that one for, I want to say like a month because I did like the heft of it. But the problem was I am not strong enough to swing that racket. So when Harry said this is Fed spec and there's even more weight on it, I was not too confident with it because I knew it was going to be a lot to swing. But right when you get on the court, I think it's definitely a lot to swing. But if you can get your strokes down and kind of get the smoothness down, I think it's a very good racket. The problem too is I think with gut and Luxlon, having gut in the mains gives the racket a ton of pop to begin with. So I think when you add that with another racket that is off the charts in terms of swing weight, it is very difficult to control. But it's also super easy to see why Fed swings so well with this frame. I mean, the dude is the smoothest player of all time. He has the smoothest strokes and most effortless looking strokes pretty much in, I think, the history of the game. So it's very easy to see why these rackets complement his tennis. But yeah, I mean, like what Chris said, if you can get your racket out in front, time the ball, and get that stroke through the court and kind of through the air, the racket's great. But the problem is when you get pulled wide in those defensive positions, it is very difficult to control. So definitely a pro style racket.
But here's the thing, Coach Jerod. I think with the combination of the gut and the Lux, when you get pulled wide and you need to shorthand that stroke, the string's going to help you.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Definitely. You got to time it right, though. You got to time it right. I did hit the fence a couple of times, so I will say that.
So what I noticed about both of you is as soon as you went from your rackets to these rackets, your shots flattened out.
Yeah.
Your shots went through that court with a lot more pace. I wouldn't say more accuracy, but definitely more pace. And when you caught it just right, it sounded great. And you saw, it's like, oh, wow, it looked great. All right, so we're done with Fed now. And you guys, thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Now, we're going to go a little harder now.
Oh, no.
Nadal specs.
Rafa's racket. Oh, man, we're going the heavy swing weights
today. That's the origin. That's the heavy Mama Jamma. And this is the one that I recreated a year ago, maybe a little bit more.
How old is this Aero? This is an old one.
This is about 15 years old, I want to say. When I recreated this, I took the head guard off. There's double layer. Fed goes one layer. Nadal goes one and one more on top. So
double layers. Wow.
Is where it goes. Feel that. Whoop upside the head, man.
This is a hammer for sure.
Definitely. So you feel that. And then that's the recreation of supposedly this one.
These are some hefty stakes. Okay.
So to me, the Fed is child's play compared to these.
I can tell.
Okay. So let's give these a shot now.
Sounds good.
right, so we just got off the court. Rafa Origin, my recreation of Rafa's racket. Lot to drag around. I saw a lot of good shots out there. Rough start though.
Oh yeah, easy.
Coach Jerod, talk to me.
Yeah, so I think with this frame, Rafa's racket is also super heavy. So obviously with 2 strips of lead tape all across the head, that is going to beef up the swing weight like crazy. So obviously a lot of rackets off the rack are not going to be like that, especially his regular Aero that sells currently. So I think the first couple of shots I had to get used to the amount of racket that I had to swing through the court. So I was catching everything late, which was expected. But once I got used to the weight of the racket, I actually like this thing a lot. I think Chris was mentioning right before this that, yeah, if you have to pretty much swing out on every single shot. So if you get any, I guess, tightness or try to kind of just massage the ball or push it back, the ball actually won't go. So I think a lot of these frames kind of have you kind of just hit through the ball, which kind of explains why, again, Rafa, Fed, and Djokovic kind of hit the crap out of everything. But yeah, I mean, with Rafa's Aero, I think I actually like this better than Fed's Wilson's, is also because I'm more of a Babolat guy. And at the same time, he also uses RPM Blast 15 gauge or 15L, which is also a string I used to use back in the day. So the combination of the heavy weight, pretty tight string, and just, you know, the Aero in general offering a lot of spin, I think this one just suits my game a lot better than Fed's racket. So I had a ton of fun with both of these frames, and again, it's just a lot to swing, but if you can swing it through, it definitely benefits whoever can do it. So
Was there a difference in the two, if any?
I think this one just has a more, like the Aero Origin just has more of a modern day feel, just because I think this one is, again, like 12 years old.
Yeah.
So I think
This has Cortex.
I
This
know, I was
actually
about to
does
say
have
that.
Cortex,
So this one has
yeah.
a Cortex in it and that one doesn't. So I
Yeah.
actually like that one a little bit better, but at the same time, I think with this one, I actually tried it with a dampener on. So I think the dampener actually gives me a lot more control than without a dampener. Overall, super similar in terms of the weight. I think this one just has, again, that modern day feel just because it's the most recent technology versus this one, which is like a couple, 12 years old. So
Right.
that's the only difference between both of them.
Got it. Coach Redbeard. Here, you can hold that there, Vander.
All right, so had a lot of fun swinging these rackets. Definitely a racket that you've got to like throw the head of your racket into it. Just you got to meet the ball on edge and out in front, and you let the racket carry you through the stroke. You don't really have to force a lot. You just, as long as you meet out in front on the edge and let the racket carry through, you're good to go. It's a heavy racket. It's a heavy duty racket, and it's a heavy racket. Definitely getting winded out there, swinging all this weight, but it's also a lot of fun at the same time. I mean, I recommend it to anyone. Just have some fun with some pros rackets and just go out there and see what swinging feels like. Why not? What do you have to lose? Yeah, a little bit of a difference between this racket and the earlier version. I swung with this one first. A little bit more control here. A little bit harder to swing through as well with this one. And that might have just been the dampener. But still, tons of fun. Thank you.
No. Thank you, guys. So what I noticed with both of you, once you started clearing the net higher, your balls exploded off the ground. Like it, when it did this, it would just jump. So I'm guessing you honed in on your Nadalness, and once you got over that vault, it became like, a lot of RPMs. As soon as it hit the ground, it blew up. So these, I feel like as soon as you got into that frame of mind that I'm going to hit with top and I'm going to clear that net, that it's actually perfectly suited for that game. So I saw that in both of you. Once you started like trying to cream it and, flattening it out, it didn't like that. It was trying to fight you, I felt like. So would you guys kind of agree?
I can see it.
Yeah. I'd say the other thing too is I think both Chris and I are more comfortable with poly strings, which is also another reason why I think we had an easier adjustment period, just because I think we haven't played with gut and Luxilon too often these days. We're not used to. I used to use that way back when, but I think you have to change your swing with the hybrid versus the poly setup. But yeah, I think when you mentioned like you said, when you said just try and clear the net by a couple more feet, I think that definitely helped us a lot more than us trying to, like you said, just rip everything as hard as we could. So I think that definitely made it a lot easier for us.
There we go. Okay, so the final one of the day. So we had Fed's finesse, Nadal's RPMs. We're going to do Novak's all around.
Big three. The big three.
Unfortunately, I only have one of these. So
Okay.
you guys choose who gets it first.
Go for it.
Yep. All right.
Okay. All right, so Coach Jerod, when he first got on the court with the Joker, just so, and you asked me already right before you hit, is that doesn't Joker use a 95? I was like, yeah, I can't get that racket. So we just took the one off the wall and just Jokified it. So as close to the spec as we could. Obviously, it's not the same racket, but it's at least his specs.
Mm-hmm.
You actually put on your inner Joker when you started hitting with it. Your ball got flatter, a little bit more penetrating, maybe a little more deeper. You actually put on your Joker hat, as you said. But tell me what you thought.
Yeah, so I think as these play tests went on, I think I got more used to the weight and kind of was more familiar with how to actually play with these frames. Because I think obviously when you add a lot more weight to a racket, it definitely makes the ball, like Harry said, more penetrating and easier to kind of crush through the court. So yeah, with Djokovic's spec, the first thing I realized was the crazy amount of lead tape. Definitely a lot more than I would traditionally use. So again, I was going into it expecting to have a hard time swinging the racket. Again, when you're starting off hitting the first couple of shots, it definitely is a lot to swing. But I think with this frame specifically, I think it just works well with the auxiliary technology. I think the only thing I was telling Harry was I think with the Speed Pro, for me, it's a little bit more muted. So I think that's also what helped me keep the ball in the court. But at the same time, the 18-20 string pattern with the 100 square inch head size is also a lot more control with a power sort of frame, but also a little bit thinner beam. But yeah, it's very easy to see why all these rackets kind of fit each pro's game style. Because I think with Djokovic, he's looking for, again, more push to the shot, which is why he kind of plays super aggressive and is able to crack a lot of shots. And that's kind of what was easy to do with this frame. At the same time, he also uses the Gut and Luxlon hybrid, which is also still hard to kind of get used to. So it's easy to see, again, why Fed and Djokovic hit the ball so damn hard too, because when you do use this string setup and you do get used to it, I will say the ball does come off the racket a lot faster than with Pauly. But yeah, all in all, fun play test. And again, easy to see why this one fits Djokovic so well.
Coach Redbeard, what'd you think?
Well, what can I say? I thought it was a little bit of a joke.
Like Joker?
So super heavy. Did I mention heavy racket? I think either I was fatigued a little bit at this point from swinging all the heavies, but at this point I just couldn't wrap my arm or hand around swinging through this very much with a free stroke. It feels good when you do connect and the weight of the racket still flows through. But I think also part of it is the weight being so much on the sides of the head instead of being more on the top of the head, that it didn't feel like the racket flowed through the stroke as much as the other two rackets. But all in all, good racket. I mean, Djokovic's a beast. What can you say?
So let me show you something real quick. Both Nadal's and Fed's had it over here underneath the head guard, which means that when they get it going, the head, basically leads the way. But what happens is you give up the stability on the sides. So you get this, so you better hit it here, or else there will be twisting. Djokovic wants a stable frame, therefore so much lead on the side. So when he comes through on a flat shot, that it just stabilizes. Boom, firm. Yeah.
So more his two-handed backhand or Medvedev's two-handed slider
Correct.
backhand. Okay, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
so those guys are basically wanting to shape more, whereas Novak wants to penetrate it more.
Yeah, push through the court.
Correct. So that's why the difference is in the lead. All right, so I'm going to let you hand that one off. I'm going to start grabbing the rackets. All right, so I'm going to start handing everybody rackets. What was your favorite, Coach Redbeard, what was your favorite and why? And would you ever consider using it?
I think my favorite probably is going to be like Nadal's older version.
Okay.
Maybe the newer version, not sure.
It's so close.
Yeah, they're really similar. I think maybe if I take the dampener off, it would be the same, but I'm not sure. And then the RF Black, probably.
RF Black. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Coach Jerod?
I'm the same.
Yeah?
So I actually did like Rafa's old frame the best, just because I think it had the most control out of all the rackets. Again, that could just be because the Origin didn't have a dampener on it, but I just felt like when I was using this one versus the Origin, for some reason this one just swung a little bit better. Maybe I do like Cortex. That could be a reason why. I know most people don't like the Cortex technology, but I guess I might like that too. And I think second, I actually have to agree with Chris again. I think it has to be the black RF autograph.
Okay.
I think the black one and the red one were super similar. It's just with the rubberish kind of finish on the black one, that just helped kind of dial the racket down a little bit, so it wasn't flying off as much. I think back in the day when also the red one came out, I think that's Federer's first Pro Staff, correct?
Mm-hmm.
There was some flying on those sticks in general when I used those, so that could be the reason why that was the case. But I just felt like this one was just a lot more controlled, a lot more dialed in, a lot more dialed in, and yeah, just a close second, because I think I was also having a comfortable time swinging with that one. But I think the old Rafa is the king for me.
Wow.
That's the king for me.
Wow. I'm a little shocked here. I actually thought you both would pick one of Roger's first, but okay.
Going with Rafa.
Okay.
Going with Rafa.
Well, Rafa's the winner
To
in
be
this play
fair,
test.
I thought the same thing. I thought I would pick the black first, but I think this is just slightly ahead.
Okay. All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff today.
I thought of this video, I was like, Redbeard and Jerod hasn't tried these yet. so
Interesting play test.
And you guys are the first ones to ever try this. This is Dan the Man's creation that he just did. So this is the unveiling. You're the first to actually try it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
I think he did a pretty good job. So
yeah, it was hard to do that one actually. It was
Looks
very
like
hard.
Looks like it. So
All right, Coach Jerod, where can they find you?
you guys can find me on Instagram at Ma Tennis.
All right, Coach Chris, where you at?
You can find me here at the Marin Tennis Club or Marin Tennis Club on YouTube.
All right, guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.
What the hell? Harry! Harry!
What? Is that you?
Yeah! What's going on? What are you doing here?
I got stuck.
You're too squishy!
Come on, little dude.
I'm working at it. Oh, man!